Please get ready for a dictation of transcription number 390 and 391 from Sir Kailash Chandra magazine. 5 seconds. Start. Sir, it is but right and proper that the President should have devoted a considerable part of his address to the Chinese invasion and the far-reaching consequences flowing from it. Those consequences have led to some very hard thinking in the country. This hard thinking, while it has confirmed us in our basic political, economic, and social beliefs, has also destroyed some illusions which we cherished in our simplicity. And above all, this hard thinking has brought home to us the need to do things that we need today with a far greater sense of urgency and seriousness. All these 14 years after independence, we have been engaged in formulating and executing our 5-year plans. We are rightly proud that we have made many advances in the field of industry, agriculture, health, education, and the rest. We can also take some legitimate pride in the fact that the fabric of democracy is sustained by us, while in many newly freed countries it has collapsed or is showing signs of collapsing. It is no joke that in a vast populous country like India, with its poverty widespread, illiteracy and many other weaknesses that we had inherited from the past, we have been able to make successful experiment in this most difficult of all forms of government. We have many failings, but we have some virtues which have enabled us to succeed in this field. But are we sure? Are we confident of the future? All I can say is that we dare not be complacent or overconfident. We see that there are many new stresses developing in our economy. Some of these new stresses are the result of development itself, and these stresses can overturn the structure of democracy unless we are careful, vigilant, serious, and earnest. Now, we should like to know whether the seriousness is in evidence in all the innumerable activities that are going on in the country. What, after all, is a 5-year plan? It is these various activities, economic, social, and cultural, that are going in the country. It is true that in the first 2 5-year plans, in the first decade of our development, we made many advances. There are many figures with which I need not weary the House. There has been some increase in the national income, and there have been developments in industry and agriculture. Last year in this House, as also in the other House, there was a discussion on the shortfalls of the first year of the third 5-year plan. We were worried that in the field of industry, our expectations had not been fulfilled, and we were much more worried that in the agricultural sector, we did not make any progress over the year 1960-61, which was the last year of the second 5-year plan. Now, as a result of many steps that we took, many measures that we developed, we have reasons to feel that in the matter of steel, transport, and coal, some of our difficulties have been overcome, and we are likely to achieve substantially the targets that we have fixed for the third 5-year plan. But our agriculture presents a depressing picture. We do not have detailed figures before us. We might have them in the course of a week, but it does seem, from whatever information has come our way, that there is no appreciable improvement so far as the agricultural sector is concerned. We planned for an additional output of 20 million tons in the third 5-year plan. It seems that about 17 or 18 million tons will have to be produced in the next 3 years. What does this mean? It means that we will have to make a very serious effort in order to be able to achieve a substantial part of this target, and we have to look to the reasons as to why it is that there is a failure in this vital sector. We have introduced many revolutionary measures in our rural economy. We have had land reforms. We have had a widespread network of the cooperative movement. We have had panchayats, and we have had the community development projects in almost every part of the country. And we have invested a great deal in all these experiments. I understand that even the members of the Planning Commission are not sure whether the steps that they have taken or the measures that they have adopted are correct. Maybe all the measures are correct because a measure may be theoretically right, ideologically sound, but it may not produce results. There is nothing wrong with the cooperative movement. There is nothing wrong with the panchayat system. They are all very good. We need them. But it does not mean that because they are good, they will produce results. They will produce results only when there is the necessary effort to make them produce results. Therefore, we have to think very deeply into these matters. Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir, the Honorable Minister for Urban Development laid a statement on the table of the House that day concerning the progress made in the construction of industrial housing by the state governments, by the employers, and by the cooperatives of the industrial workers. Even in the supplementaries that I put to the Honorable Minister that day, and also in the discussion that I am going to raise today, the points that I wish to make out and make out very sharply are that the Housing Ministers' Conference held at Bangalore in October 1987 was seized of the entire delay that is there in the construction of industrial houses. The conference was also seized of the fact that the question of cooperatives of the industrial workers coming into existence is also being hampered because certain legislative measures that government should take are not being taken by them. It was also brought to the notice of the government and to the notice of the Housing Ministers' Conference at Bangalore in October 1987 that the employers were not taking this matter seriously, and it was also suggested at that conference that even decisions have been taken to bring about certain legislations in the country to force the employers to come forward with the construction of houses. Sir, at the 16th Indian Labour Conference, this subject was discussed at length by the employers, the employees, and the government representatives who attended that conference. It was at the 15th Indian Labour Conference that the employers agreed that houses might be constructed by them, but when it came to the 16th conference, the employers cleanly escaped their responsibility. The 16th Indian Labour Conference was held after the Housing Ministers' Conference in Bangalore, when the Housing Ministers' Conference itself had come to certain conclusions that legislative measures would be necessary in order to force the employers to construct the houses, when the Labour Ministers' Conference this year also came to the conclusion that legislative measures would be necessary, that certain coercive measures would be necessary in order to force the employers to construct the houses. The National Housing Construction Bill that was suggested and contemplated at the Bangalore conference is not yet even under the consideration of the government. Sir, mere decisions by the government will not come to the rescue of the houseless employees. Mr. Deputy Chairman, as far as I could gather from the speech of the Honorable Minister, his chief complaint is with regard to the not very satisfactory progress made by the industrial employer with regard to housing under the subsidized industrial housing scheme of the Government of India. I think it will be the best to give the overall picture of the situation with regard to the subsidized industrial housing scheme. In the sixth five-year plan, Rs 45 crores were allotted for subsidized industrial housing, and with Rs 8,500 as the average cost of a tenement. This would have enabled us to build 130,000 tenements under the scheme. But sir, during the last 2 or 3 years, there has been a considerable rise in the cost of construction, and moreover, under the rules, we have made it obligatory for each unit to have an independent bathroom and a latrine of its own. Formerly, the scheme contemplated 2 units sharing the bathroom and the latrine. But we thought that it was not a very desirable thing, and therefore now it is obligatory to have a latrine and a bathroom attached to each tenement. Because of the rise in the cost of construction and this additional expenditure of an individual bathroom and a latrine, the average ceiling has gone up to rupees 9,000. Therefore, the number of tenements come down automatically. In the last Indian Labour Conference, it has been recommended that government should not immediately take up the question of compulsion. Let us wait for some time. We have taken certain steps. We have increased the quantum of the loans. We have liberalized the mode of payment, and we have also made it possible for these people to acquire land from government for the tenements, for individual housing on a no loss, no profit basis. And we are giving loans to the state governments to acquire land, develop the site so that the private industry could take advantage of this and get land. One of the principal difficulties which has stood in the way of construction of a suitable number, a sizable number of tenements, has been lack of suitable land. Industrial development has taken place in our country in a very haphazard manner. In the industrial area of Calcutta, it is practically impossible. Stop.